I was truly reborn. And it happened on the day I married Jenny. When I opened my eyes, I saw a room full of guests. A late and festive scene. I pinched Miss Felsh's was real. I had come back. At moment. Jenny, dressed in her wedding gown, came running toward me with a look of urgency. Carter. My student Dick had a car accident. I need to go to the hospital, she said, just like in my previous life. Looking at her, I knew it wasn't her student who was in an accident. It was her first love. Watching her lie to me like that, I was filled with anger. I remembered how, in my past life, at this exact moment, Jenny told me she had to visit her student in the hospital. Since the wedding ceremony was about to begin, I didn't let her go. And she argued with me in front of everyone. She said my behavior was unbecoming of a supportive husband, gaining her a wave of praise and sympathy, while I received blame and criticism. I felt so guilty that every time she said a student needed her, I fully supported her, even offering to drive her myself. Now as I looked at her anxious face and her wide, pleading eye, I said, the ceremony starts at 11:00. As long as you're back by then, you can go. Just be quick. Jenny looked at me gratefully and said, thank you, Carter. I'll definitely be back in time. Don't worry. Then, as if afraid I'd change my mind, she hurried to the dressing room to change out of her wedding gown and rushed off. I watched her leave, clenching my fists. In my previous life, this was how she deceived me over and over again. She would claim she was visiting students, but in reality, she was meeting with her first love. It wasn't until my cousin called one day, saying she had seen Jenny in a mall holding hands with her lover, when she was supposedly on a home visit to a student, that I realized how thoroughly I'd been fooled. Furious, I drove out to confront Jenny, but due to heavy snow, my car skidded off a bridge, and I'd on the spot. Now that life has given me another chance, I'm going to settle the score with these two cheaters. I will ensure that every wrong done to me is repaid, and it'll make them taste the bitter fruits of their own action. I called some friends and asked them to help me find my cow's aunt, one who warned me in my past life. My cousin Cherry arrived. She grew up in my household and was like a sister to me. In my previous life, she was the only one who harbored ill will toward Jenny. Every time she saw me, she would tell me that Jenny had two faces, one for the public and one behind closed doors, and that I shouldn't trust her so easily. She even advised me to protect my money. I remember arguing with her over it, telling her not to treat Jenny that way. Cherry came running over. What's up, bruh? Why did you call me? I was over there handing out wedding candies. Jenny had to leave for an urgent matter. I told her. What? It's already past 10. And she just left? Will she make it back in time? Tori anxiously checked her watch. I let out a cold laugh and grabbed Cherry's hand, pulling her toward the dressing room. Cherry, do you think you can fit into this dress? Cherry was stunned. What are you trying to do? Why would I wear a wedding dress? Don't ask why. Jenny might not make it back in time, and we can't cancel the wedding. You'll take her place for the rest of the ceremony. I then turned to the makeup artist. Excuse me, could you do my sister's makeup? The bride not make it back, so I need my sister to stand in for her. Bruh, this really necessary? Would Jenny seriously be so inconsiderate that she wouldn't come back for her own wedding? Cherry asked. Puzzled, I looked at Cherry with certainty. She's not coming back. With that, I walked out. Jenny was going to return on time, even if she wanted to. Her first love wouldn't let her leave. By 11:00, the officiant and the photographer were all ready to go. Cherry had already changed into the wedding dress, and the makeup artist was working on her. I also took off my traditional Chinese robe and changed into a suit with about eye. Jenny hadn't returned yet. I called her, but there was no answer. I knew this would happen. Her bridesmaids were frantic, calling friends and searching for her, but no one could find her. The officiant and photographer were bewildered by the situation, exchanging glances, while the makeup artist quietly worked away. She was the busiest one here, having to do makeup for the brides at one wedding. Calmly, I told them, wait for another half hour. If she's not here by then, Send to people to close the hotel doors. No one unrelated should disrupt the wedding. At 11:30, I was already going over the wedding process with the officiant. Cherry was ready, and the makeup artist had done an impeccable job. Cherry's makeup was bold and striking. So, even her own mother wouldn't recognize her. We simplified the ceremony as much as possible to get through it quickly. At 11:15, the two guys guarding the door called me. There was still no sign of Jenny. Cherry and I went through the ceremony without a hitch. Not a single thing went wrong. By 12:03, Jenny finally arrived in a rush. At that moment, I was making a toast when Jenny stormed in and slapped me across the face without warning. I calmly rubbed my chin, looking at her. Well done, Carter. You're something else. I step out for a moment. And you marry some random woman? Tell me, was this all part of your plan from the start? Jenny raved. I smiled and looked down at her. She was beautiful, no doubt, but her beauty couldn't hide the ugliness inside her heart. Her bridesmaids couldn't take it anymore and pulled her aside. Jenny, how could you slap your husband in front of all these people? We couldn't find you anywhere. So your husband had no choice but to ask his cousin to fill in for you. The groomsmen chimed in as well. Exactly. Jenny, you really should think about the situation before acting like that. Yeah, we couldn't find you anywhere. If no one stepped in, would you rather have canceled the wedding? Jenny's fair face turned red with shame. Unable to respond, I looked at her and said, just go change into your dress and come back to join the toast. As she was about to leave, I called out, how's your student Dick? Is he okay? Then naturally took the phone away, smiling as he said, you never used to watch these kinds of emotional videos. He's fine. Nothing serious, Jenny mumbled, avoiding eye contact with me. Now, go change, I said, firmly. Jenny quickly walked into the dressing room. After the wedding, she claimed she wasn't feeling well and told me not to touch her. I wasn't interested in her either, so I let it be. And she was quite pleased with herself. She acted obediently towards me, but I knew who she really was, an innocent looking snake disguised as a lamb. Knowing the exact date of my death from the previous life, I planned for her to die on that same day, to let her taste the same fated death in a car crash. The house was bought before the marriage and was in my name. I quietly changed the title to my parents' names without her knowing. I also transferred the $1 million my parents had given me back into their account. As for the $300 of dowry in her account, I moved that too. In my past life, she used the dowry I gave her to buy gifts and even a car worth over $200. For her first love, spending my family's money on her affair, I hired a private detective agency and paid for the detectives to take shifts, watching Jenny 24 hours a day. I wanted to know everything she was up to. I also created a new WeChat account and added all the male parents of her student. To my surprise, a good number of them were interested in her. As long as they were interested, I was going to let any of them off the hook. Just when I was about to puke from all the chatting, Jenny came home. She stormed through the door. Carter, what happened to my bank account? Why is there no money left? What did you do with my money? I tried calling you, but you didn't answer. I put the €300 into an investment fund. Plus, I left you a message about it, I said, looking at her with a confused expression. Investment? What investment? What right do you have to spend my money on that? She asked angrily, glaring at me. Jenny, remember the manager's wife works at the bank. This is insider info. Without connection, we wouldn't even have access to this product. In just 5 years, the principal and interest will double. Opportunities like this are rare. With a house, what good is extra money sitting around if it's not making more? I said with a big grin. Jenny's face remained sour as she stared at me. But why didn't you use your money? Why use my dowry for this investment? I did. I invested everything. I even put my parents' retirement money into it. Smart, right? You should be proud of me. Jenny, I gave her a look, practically begging for praise. You invested all of it? You should at least discuss it with me first. She complained. I wanted to, but you didn't pick up your phone. The manager was pressuring me to act fast, so I just went ahead. Why? Do you need the money right now? I asked, feigning curiosity. No, I just checked my mobile banking today and saw there was no money left, so I rushed back to ask. She stammered. Of course, I knew why she was desperate for money. In my past life, at this time, she had been trying to win back her first love by buying him a car, hoping to tie him down. But she had no idea that she was just one of many fish in his pond. Jenny, the foolish woman, actually believed they were each other's one and only. How pathetic and infuriating. I said, that's good to hear. Since you're back, why don't we go grocery shopping together? Almost time for dinner. Jenny shook her head. I already ate at school. I have to return later for evening study sessions. With that, she turned and left. I glanced at my watch. It was only for P-Mona Saturday. She teaches elementary school, so the excuse was laughably flimsy. Not long after, I got a call from Jenny. Can you cancel the investment? My second aunt is having some trouble and needs to borrow some money. 20,000 should be enough. I listened calmly and replied, give me a minute. I'll check with the manager to see if we can withdraw it. Don't worry. After hanging up, I leisurely made myself a cup of coffee, taking my time before calling her back. I waited a good 10 minutes, figuring she'd be getting anxious by now. Then I called her. Then naturally took the phone away, smiling as he said, you never used to watch these kinds of emotional videos. Jenny, the contract for the investment has already taken effect. If your second aunt needs money, maybe check with your mom to see if they can gather some together. She didn't say a word and hung up on me. Sipping my coffee, I found myself thinking about the past. In my previous life, I died in the winter, just after changing to snow tires. Even if the roads were slippery, that shouldn't have been enough to send my car off a bridge. It was 5 months before that fatal day. Around this time, that Jenny took out a life insurance policy on me. A thought hit me. I angrily slammed my coffee cup down, shattering it on the floor. I had already switched to snow tires, and I was an experienced driver. How could I have crashed that badly? Adding me insurance policy into the mix, it was clear she'd been planning my death all along. There had to be someone else involved in such a carefully orchestrated murder. Jenny couldn't have come up with it alone. No matter what the truth is, this time, I'm going to find out everything. I opened the online store and bought a GPS tracker for the car, a dashcam with real-time monitoring, and some hidden cameras. When the package arrived, installed the cameras in every corner of the house, ensuring there were no blind spots. Even the bathroom wasn't spared. I then discreetly hid the GPS tracker in the car and replaced the old dashcam. That evening, I drove to Jenny's elementary school to pick her up after work. I called her. Are you off work? Not yet. I have to work late today, so I'll be home a bit later. I'm busy now. Talk to you later. She hung up. I watched her through the dashcam as she held another man's hand and got on a bus. When I called her again, her phone was off. I drove home, emotionally kept the phone away. Not long after, Jenny came back. I glanced at her disheveled hair and the smudge of lipstick near her lip. Calmly, I asked, does the elementary school make you work overtime this often? Aren't you tired of all these late nights? Jenny seemed to be in a good mood. No, it's not tiring, as long as it's for our family. It's worth it, she said with a smile. She hung her coat on the rack, then came over and clung to my arm, pouting sweetly. Carter, my second aunt is really desperate. Are you sure you don't have any money left? You make such a good solare, can you ask for an advance on a year's wages? I was speechless. What kind of logic even comes up with that idea? Jenny, you know our company just started. My boss would never agree to that. What did your mom say about your second aunt needing money? Why does she expect you to borrow it? Her face immediately darkened. You know what my mom is like, stubborn and unreasonable. My second aunt specifically asked me not to tell her. I nearly laughed out loud. Her mom was a retired Skeltec Rodra, and a total miser. She looked down on everyone but herself and was as tight-fisted as they come. Getting money out of her would be harder than climbing a mountain. Feigning regret, I said. I'm sorry, Jenny. I didn't realize your second date was in such a tough spot. I wish we could help. But if there's no other option, maybe she can try borrowing from a loan shark. As long as she knows the exact repayment date, the interest isn't as bad as people think. It's just movies that scare people with all that loan shark stuff. As expected. Jenny's eyes lit up. How do you know that? She asked. I heard it from my boss. Hit a rough patch and ran out of cash. So he took out a loan from a loan shark to cover it, no problems at all. I'll ask him for the contact info tomorrow and send it to you, so you can give it to your second aunt. I spoke as gently as possible, guiding her along. Okay. Then headed to the guest bedroom. I watched the tightly closed door. Turned on the surveillance camera in the guest room. And sure enough, Jenny had arranged a meeting with her lover for the next day. I turned off my phone and went back to the master bedroom to sleep. The following day, a private investigator contacted me, saying that Jenny had gone to a loan shark company and came out with a happy expression, heading straight for the car dealership. On the third day, the lover was already waiting for her there. She purchased a car worth 200 yuan in full payment and drove away. They were following them. I told them, very good, keep following. After about an hour, I learned that Jenny and her lover had checked into a 3. I immediately contacted the male parents of Jenny's student, sending each of them a message. Dear, I'm not feeling well today and have taken a day off. Can you come over for a hug? Waiting for you. After a while, I received an exclusive video from the private investigator. In the video, Jenny was naked and being pulled by several men, while her lover was already lying on the ground. The police arrived and took them all to the station. Jenny was detained for 7 days due to the severity of the incident, and because the male parents of her students complained that Jenny had seduced the male parents, causing significant impact. The day I picked Jenny up, she seemed like a bright flower that withered in Stocktrentler. Listen to me explain. I didn't have sex with anyone else. It was Abdul. Yeah. Who called me there? I didn't expect him to try to rape me. Listening to her so quickly shift the blame to her first love, I couldn't help but laugh. I looked at her like she was an idiot. Abdul, your college classmate. Your ex-boyfriend? Were you two out of contact for a long time? We haven't been in contact for a long time. He told me he was in town for work and wanted to see me before he left. So I went. I had no idea this would happen. Carter, you have to believe me. Feigning seriousness, I replied. It's all in the past now. Jenny, let's go. Jenny quickly thanked me for trusting her and said she would live a good life with me from now on. Listening to her disgusting words, I didn't even glance at her as I drove straight to her mother's house. Jenny looked at me. Puzzled. Carter, why are we going to my mom's place? Aren't we going back to her home? Feigning helplessness, I said, Jenny, there's nothing I can do. Your mom asked me to bring you to her after I got you out. I couldn't say no to her. Jenny was almost in tears, holding on to me and pleading, Carter, I don't want to go back to my mom's. I don't want to see her. Please, take me back to our home. I don't want to see her. Ignoring her pleas, I dragged her back to her mother's house. The moment we walked in, her mom slapped Jenny hard across the face. I couldn't help but feel thrilled inside. Herm pointed at Jenny angrily. You wretch! Is this how I raised you? Now everyone knows about it. You've completely disgraced me. Listening to her, I was speechless. The old lady didn't even mention how immoral Jenny's actions were or how she wronged me. Carter. She was just upset that her own reputation had been tarnished. What if no one found out? It would have been fine. I watched the two of them bickering back and forth and quickly stepped in to stop them. Mom, please don't blame Jenny anymore. She's naive and was tricked into it. I haven't said anything about it, so you shouldn't either, I said, pretending to be concerned. And you? I almost forgot about you. How did my daughter end up marrying such a spineless loser like you? You have no money, no status sunching. Marrying you has been the worst luck of my daughter's life. Shit. The comment really pissed me off. So I turned around and left. Jenny stayed at her mom's place for a week, and when she returned, she seemed completely refreshed. I couldn't help but laugh coldly inside. She had been quite busy during that week. The private investigator told me that Jenny had spent the entire week with her lover, Abdul. On the first day, they even argued about what had happened. By the second day, Jenny had bought Abdul a bunch of luxury goods to make up for it. For the rest of the week, they were inseparable. I'm not sure what to think as I watch her so happy. Why does she come in and immediately want to hug me? I step aside to avoid her. Why are you back so soon? Didn't Mom tell you to rest at home for a few more days? I'm just worried you might miss me. Since we got married, we haven't been together yet. My health is back to normal now. I think we should really be together, says, blushing as she looks at me. I feel a bit awkward. What do we do? The company just arranged for me to go on a business trip. I'm only back to pack my thing. I'll be gone for about a month. And when I return, we can be together. I hurriedly start packing, pulling my suitcase out, my heart racing with anxiety. After calming down, I head straight to the hotel, lie down on the bed, and open the home surveillance. I see Jenny at home in a spaghetti-strapped nightgown, talking on the phone with her lover, planning to invite him over. Seizing the moment, I call Jenny's mom and tell her about my business trip, asking her to take care of her daughter and giving her the door code. About half an hour later, her lover Abdul arrives at my home. They start kissing from the door all the way to the sofa, diving straight into passionate rolling on the couch. Just as Jenny gets lost in the moment, her mom what? Jenny continues, clearly not hearing someone enter. It isn't until her mom shouts that they finally stop. In that instant, all her mom's composure is gone, and she starts hitting Abdul. Jenny quickly intervenes. Mom, stop. I love Abdul. Don't hurt him anymore. She throws her arms around Abdul. Say that again. No matter how many times I say it. My answer is the same. I love Abdul. If it weren't for your interference, I would have married him already. Why would I marry that loser? Jenny cries out from Abdul's embrace. You shameless thing. What does Abdul have? He's worthless aside from his look. Carter may be a loser, but he earns well and won't make you suffer. Her mom says with disappointment. Mom, I'm already pregnant with Abdul's child, and I want to divorce Carter. Jenny suddenly declared. Her mom, Abdul, and I are all stunned. I knew it. That's why she seemed eager to throw herself at me when she came in. She wants me to be the fallback guy. She keeps calling me a loser and is cheating on me. It makes me furious. What did you say? You're pregnant? My child? Abdul asks nervously. Yeah. Then naturally took the phone away, smiling as he said, You never used to watch these kinds of emotional videos. I'm carrying our baby. I want to divorce Carter. I've never let him touch me. You're the only one for me. Jenny says, her face full of sweetness. No, Jenny, although I love you, I can't destroy your family. You should live a good life with Carter. It's fine just like this, Abdul quickly said. Before Jenny could speak, her mother interjected. Abdul, what do you mean? You've taken advantage of her. And now you want to avoid responsibility? I'm telling you, that's not happening. And it's not like that. You know about my family situation. My mom is paralyzed, and my dad, who takes care of her, is also in poor health. You didn't agree to me and Jenny being together in the first place because my family is poor. English? How can I take responsibility? Annie abort the baby while Carter is on a business trip. This is good for everyone, Abdul said in a panicky voice, fearing that he might be held responsible if he delayed. Darling, it's okay. You don't have money, but Carter does. He just bought some investments that will double in a few years. His family is also wealthy. If he dies, it will all be mine, and what's mine is yours. So you'll have money. Then you can support our child. Jenny became more and more excited as she spoke. What did you say? Abdul stared at Jenny in disbelief. You're crazy. Jenny, you can't think like that. You get an abortion tomorrow. Break it off with Abdul. And wait for Carter to come back and live a good life. Jenny's mother said, still retaining some sense of morality. Ma, I love Abdul. I can't live without him. Listen to me. I've checked around. If Carter dies, all his inheritance will be mine, including his parent. If I get Carter an accidental death insurance, the money left to me will be even more. Jenny quickly replied. At this point, neither her mother nor Abdul spoke, flickering in their eyes betraying their emotions. I listened to their conversation, feeling a chill run from my head to my toes. I really didn't expect Jenny to articulate all this so clearly. They were silent for a moment before her mother spoke up. Both of you go to the bathroom and clean up. We'll eat later. I bought some vegetables and we'll start cooking. We can talk while eating. Jenny quickly pulled Abdul to the bathroom. I'm happy to help with the translation. I switched the camera to the bathroom, and those two ended up together again while washing up. Before long, soft sounds could be heard. This time, Jenny's mom didn't stop them and continued cooking. When dinner was ready, 3 of them sat around the table, eating in silence. After they finished, her mom spoke first. Jenny, where did you hear those things? Mom, a former colleague of mine said that she bought an accidental death insurance for her husband. A year later, he had a car accident and died, and the insurance company paid them $7 million. Now, Jenny replied, showing a look of envy. Can they pay that much? After that, no one continued the conversation. About 15 minutes later, Abdul broke the silence. Auntie, you know I love Jenny. I can't live without her, and we have a child together. You want Jenny to be happy, right? Abdul said sincerely. Yes, I want Jenny to be happy. Her mom responded. Then you need to help us. Once it's done, we won't treat you poorly. Abdul said plainly. It'll help you. After all, I want you both to be happy. Carter can't give Jenny the life she wants, her mom said firmly. Watching them search for insurance information on the monitor, making calls, and adding insurance agents on WeChat, my heart felt numb. After consulting about the insurance, they started planning how to make me have an accident. I searched online for several days without finding a suitable method. Then, Abdul decided that to ensure death was instantaneous, it had to be a serious traffic accident. Watching them meticulously plan my death broke my heart. The person I cared for deeply was doing this to me. The intense emotions caused me to feel physically ill, and I rushed to the bathroom to vomit. I splashed cold water on my face and looked in the mirror, my eyes becoming increasingly determined. It was time for revenge. After staying at the hotel for half a month, I called Jenny to say I had just landed and would be home later. Seeing Abdul hurriedly packing up on the monitor, I smirked. When I walked into the house, I opened all the windows, finally feeling like I could breathe a bit. Every corner of the house bore the marks of Jenny and Abdul's entanglement, and I felt my breath catch again. Jenny didn't notice my expression as she linked her arm with mine. Carter, you're finally back. I have something to tell you. My mom came by the other day, and her old colleague's kid is selling insurance. She wants to introduce a good plan to you. I looked at it and think it's good. If you're free tomorrow, let's go buy it. I turned to her. What insurance? Didn't we already buy some? This is different from the previous medical insurance. This one ensures life safety. It's a great policy. Just trust me and let's go sign tomorrow, she said, playfully. Well, you'll think about it. You'll visit mom tomorrow and then decide. After speaking, I opened the suitcase and took out a can of protein powder, placing it on the dining table. This is imported protein powder I bought. Especially good for elderly people. I'll take it to mom tomorrow. Okay, I'll go to mom's house in the morning. I'll call her first, Jenny said as she walked into her room. Without needing to look, I knew exactly what they were discussing. I glanced at the protein powder and thought, fine. This is what you forced me to do. Don't blame me for starting with your old lady. This protein powder came from the apple seed powder I painstakingly made while staying at the hotel for half a month, using every last bit without waste. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Blame yourselves for being more so. The next day, I went to Jenny's family home and handed her the protein powder, encouraging her to have it every morning for her health. Her mom thanked me enthusiastically and then started to promote the benefits of insurance. I went along with it and ended up at the insurance company with them. When it came time to sign, I hesitated and said, I don't think this is right. Just buying me this insurance doesn't sit well. How about getting one for Jenny too? This way, we both have a policy, and you'll feel better. They agreed readily. I got up to find the insurance agent, requesting a revised contract that named us each as the sole beneficiary. They didn't quite understand the term but were happy thinking they could inherit the payout when I passed. After signing, I told them I had to leave for company matters. Jenny waved me off casually. After more than a month of peace, winter was approaching, and I calculated that the ultimate moment was drawing near. The private investigator was diligently monitoring Jenny and learned that she and Abdul had moved their activities to her mom's house. Each time, her mom would leave, which was infuriating. One day, Jenny asked me for the car keys to visit relatives with her mom. I gladly agreed and handed over the keys. Watching her drive away, I called the private investigator, instructing him to follow her closely and keep track of her every move. He assured me not to worry, promising to complete the task. The next day, Jenny came back and returned the car keys, and I received a message from the detective saying that Jenny and Abdul had taken the car to the repair shop yesterday, and they only drove it away this morning. I didn't dare to drive the car after going downstairs in the morning. Instead, I called for a tow truck to take it to the dealership for inspection. The results showed that the brake pads were severely worn. Thankfully, I hadn't driven it. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. I took a deep breath, as I had expected this. Seemed I was meant to die in my past life. But now it was happening ahead of schedule in this life. I checked the dashcam footage, but to my surprise, everything had been aerosol wiped clean. Since you all wanted to get ahead, don't blame me for reaping the rewards early. I picked up my phone and called my dear mother-in-law. Hello, Ma. How have you been lately? I've been busy with work and had the chance to see you. Have you been taking the protein powder? How's it working for you? Do you want me to buy 2 more cans? I said cheerfully. Ciao, oh ciao, ciao. I haven't had any yet. I'll have some now. Hearing her opening the can reassured me, so I said I'd order them right away and hung up. Then, in the evening, I timed it just right and opened her door. The old lady was lying on the kitchen floor, frothing at the mouth, unconscious. If it weren't for the rising and falling of her chest, I would have thought she was dead. I quickly called for an ambulance, reporting that the elderly lady had suffered a stroke and collapse. Then, calmly and leisurely, I packed the protein powder can into my bag, washed the cup, cleaned up her vomit, and waited for the ambulance to arrive. At the hospital, I called Jenny, putting on a feigned sobbing voice. Jenny, Mom's in the hospital from a stroke. I went to see her today, and she was lying on the floor alone. It's serious. You need to come quickly. After giving her the address, I headed back to the office. Just as I arrived at the office, I received a call from Jenny. Mom's in the hospital. How can you just leave her? I feigned innocence. Jenny, I have to work. I've already paid for Mom's hospital bill, so don't worry. Since you're not working now, take good care of her. I'll and handle things at home. With that, I hung up. As I expected, Jenny held on for just 1 day before begging me to find a caregiver, saying she couldn't take care of her mom. Her mom was serious, had a crooked mouth, and was stiff, unable to speak, but she was still aware. She just couldn't take care of herself. Listening to Jenny complain, I readily agreed to her request for a caregiver. I contacted the private detective to keep a close watch on Jenny's movements because, considering the timing, the loan sharks would probably be coming for her soon. As expected, in the following days, Jenny was confronted several times by loan sharks, who threatened her with severe consequences if she didn't pay up. I smiled as I read the updates from the private detective. I called Jenny. Jenny, I got into a car accident and I'm at the hospital. Jenny immediately became anxious. You had an accident? How's the car? I replied. It's not serious, just a mild concussion. The doctor wants me to stay for observation for a day. The car has already been sent to the repair shop. They said the brake pads were worn out, but thankfully, it was just a minor bump. Otherwise, the consequences could have been dire. Jenny seemed to relax a bit. That's good. Just drive slowly in the future and be him out right now. But I'll come see you later. The private detective informed me that Jenny was currently in the car with Abdul, though he didn't know what they were discussing. I thought to myself, I know exactly what they're talking about, how to kill me. The next day I took the phone away. I returned home, but Jenny was there, and she didn't answer my call. I directly contacted the nursing home to admit Jenny's mom. Sure enough, it was long before Jenny called me. I told her to come home to talk. When she arrived, she immediately questioned why I had sent her mom to a nursing home. Jenny, mom had a stroke and can't take care of herself. But doctor clearly said she won't recover and recommended a nursing home. I couldn't reach you. I had to make the decision myself. I added, also, mom is alone now. And since dad has passed away, you need to figure out how to transfer the house into your name quickly. Otherwise, if something happens to mom, all the relatives will come and fight for the inheritance. I said mysteriously. Is that possible? She puzzled. It needs to be in your name. Then no one can contest it. When you transfer it, they'll check for any debts you might have. If you have any, you'll lose the right to inherit. I mislead her. What if it's transferred to your name? She suddenly feigning surprise. If it's in my name, it's still yours. We're married. Wait, yours, what's mine is yours. In less than 3 days, I received the property title for my mother-in-law's house, now under my name. Carter, seeing the weather forecast predicting snow that night, I knew my wait was over. After work, I rushed home, and as soon as I opened the door, I saw Jenny leisurely sipping tea and watching TV. I anxiously called out, Jenny, stop watching TV. Mom is in trouble. I just got a call from the nursing home that she's critically ill. We need to hurry. Sure enough, Jenny hurriedly put on her shoes to go with me. I handed her the car keys and, with a remorseful expression, Jenny, you go ahead. I'll catch up later. There's a project launching tonight at work, and as the project manager, I can't leave. I'll be there as soon as I can. She didn't suspect anything and just urged me to hurry. As I watched her leave, I thought to myself, Jenny, farewell. Here's the translations were enough. Within an hour, I received a call from the traffic police, telling me that Jenny had flipped off the bridge due to slippery roads from the snow, while trying to overtake at night. Car was destroyed and she was dead. Heartbroken, I rushed to the morgue to identify the body. The next day, I went to the notary office to sign a document renouncing my inheritance of Jenny's estate. A few days later, I received a court summons saying I owed debts. I brought the notarized document, and unsurprisingly, I won the case. I then went to see Jenny's mother, informing her that her daughter was dead and that I was the sole designated beneficiary of the insurance policy, which had nothing to do with her. I also told her that the canister of protein powder was my parting gift for their attempt to harm me. I warned her that she would live in a nursing home until she died. Before I could leave the parking lot, the nursing home called to inform me that Jenny's mother had passed away. After her mother's funeral, I sent all the videos of Jenny and Abdul's escapades at my house to Abdul's benefactor, the biggest fish in the pond. I heard he ended up with a broken leg and was left unable to carry it, really a stroke of justice. But I believe that was worse. Finally, I collected the insurance compensation. When the police came to investigate, I discovered that it was Jenny who had taken out the insurance policy. Upon checking her phone, they found searches for methods of murder. Turns out I was the one who should have died. When they shared the findings with me, I acted as if I were about to cry. After the police consoled me and left, I took the compensation, sold her family's house, sold my own house, and changed my phone number. Having achieved financial freedom, I decided to travel the world with my parent.